What's up, everyone? Welcome to Now, Next, Never. I'm Nicole Casperson, and with me are my co-hosts Alana Saparu and Zaid Admani. What is up, guys? I am feeling all sorts of happy because it's Friday. The weather is beautiful here in New York, or Brooklyn, where I am specifically. What's up, guys?
What's up, Nicole? Yes, weather's great here in Houston as well. We got a lot of great stories to talk about. Crypto-heavy show today. First of all, Peter Thiel calls out Warren Buffett as a sociopathic grandpa.
Man.
It's a real headline. It's a real headline. I couldn't even get through without laughing.
Oh my gosh.
If Warren Buffett knew how to use the internet, he'd probably be really mad right now. He's probably not going to get to his table until Monday. Big ballers taking salary in Bitcoin. But does that mean you should be listening to millionaire athletes talk about Bitcoin? We're going to hear from Aaron Rodgers and discuss. Delano.
Yes, we are, Zaid and Nicole. Great to see you both. Last but not least, we have the amazing Callie Cox, C Squared. She's live at the Bitcoin conference, and she's going to check in and let us know what is all going on with Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin is getting more mature, and if that's boring or it's a good thing. So, of course, stick with us. Make sure you like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and we're going to get started right now.
Why did Peter Thiel call Warren Buffett a sociopathic grandpa? I still can't get over this headline. So Peter Thiel, the co-founder of PayPal, billionaire, one of the first major investors in Facebook, he delivered just an absolute banger of a speech at the Bitcoin conference in Miami yesterday. There was a lot of nuggets dropped in there. We have a soundbite here. Let's tee it up.
Enemy number one. I think he's sort of. I think the sort of the sociopathic grandpa from Omaha is perhaps the most honest and the most direct in it, and you have to sort of think of it's of course on some level these people aren't always just talking their book. It's sort of they have some sort of institutional bias. It's long, a list of woke companies. It's somehow long this fiat money system, and of course there's always a sense if you're a money manager, you want to pretend that it's complicated to invest.
Is he like okay?
That was like guys, that was just a small tidbit of what his entire speech was absolute. Just this guy brought a flamethrower. He was just spitting fire, and he had a hit list too. It wasn't just Warren Buffett. The guy put Jamie Dimon and Larry Fink on blast. I mean, actually, I'm gonna run through some interesting quotes. I took a bunch of notes. I watched the whole thing, took a bunch of notes. There's a couple interesting quotes in there. So he said that the competition to Bitcoin is the S&P 500, not just gold, but the entire S&P 500. He compared the Bitcoin to S&P 500. He said not allocating to Bitcoin is a deeply political choice. Interesting. And he says that I mean there was a bunch of others. I'm not gonna let me just throw it to you, Delano. You tell me what you think about Peter Thiel and his comments and his insane speech yesterday.
Zaid, Nicole, that was very hot take, very fiery. But I will go on his last point that it's not complicated to invest. Yes, I think everyone out there should do their due diligence, should research, because not everything is as easy as it seems. You have to do some work, especially when you're investing. Now, if we shift back to Peter Thiel, I think he's a little bit of a sociopath, if I may say so myself.
Yeah, seriously.
Right? Everyone has
Sounds
their
that
own
way.
agenda. What is his agenda? He's always good at being one of the first to invest in something that later gets massively adopted, right? Like look at Facebook, right? He was supposedly one of the first outside investors in 2004, which Facebook has a family of apps that has over 2 billion users. So of course his agenda, which you could debate whether we think he's investing in some different things that are right or wrong, but his agenda is obviously to have a massive adoption of cryptocurrency and different of the likes, right? And he sees Warren Buffett as someone that's an imposter, opposing that just because of the fact that he's made some comments that are opposed to cryptocurrency. So I get it. I understand that. Now, calling Warren Buffett, who I think is a sweet old man, all right, that's done some great things in investing, calling him a sociopath, Peter, that might be a little far, Nicole. What do you think?
I don't know. With if someone comes in hot like that at you, does it either make you want to actually change, or does it make you just double down on your beliefs, right? And decide to be like, you know what, sure, I'll put in headlines out there that say I'm like warming up to crypto, but really, like, as a leader in the institutional side, I'm just gonna stick to like my beliefs here. So I actually think that Peter Thiel is sabotaging Bitcoin with these comments. These old man billionaires are just like coming at each other with their money and their egos, and it just doesn't really do anything for the messaging of Bitcoin, of cryptocurrency. These leaders need to be talking about how regulation needs to evolve. They need to be talking about demystifying the gambling mentalities that sweep headlines, and how we're dealing with things like fraud. And they need to reflect as leaders what cryptocurrency is actually intended to do, which is create a new system that, unlike the old financial system, is capable of including everyone. And when you exclude anyone from that narrative, even if it is the billionaires of the world that he is targeting, then that is not great. That is not good. His messaging is really bad. The language he uses just perpetuates like the toxicity of ageism and all the things that we see in the world. So I am not for this one. He didn't even deliver it well. Like, if you're gonna if you really hate on someone, like, get the practice, man. Practice.
I'll end with this. I don't think that Warren Buffett is waking up every single day of his life hoping that Bitcoin fails. I don't think he cares. He's worth $100 billion. He has other things to do. And Nicole, you're absolutely right when it comes to the language and just this us versus them, young versus old mentality. I don't think this helps the cause. I don't think this helps Bitcoin's cause. And it's kind of sad that he's taking this route.
Yeah.
It surely is, guys. Let's move on to our next headline. And guess what? We're talking about some big ballers that are taking Bitcoin as salary. But should you guys listen to these millionaire athletes? So Odell Beckham Jr., Aaron Rodgers, and Serena Williams spoke at the Bitcoin 2022 conference in Miami. And they talk about athletes' involvement in cryptocurrency. Rodgers also spoke about Bitcoin adoption in the NFL. Let's tee up a little bit of a soundbite here.
I think there's a real possibility. As Bitcoin has become more mainstream, there's no way of getting around it. Guys are taking salary in Bitcoin. Guys are investing heavily in Bitcoin. And it's going to be there's going to be a push. It's just going to take one kind of game changer contract where a team with the foresight and with creativity, working with a player who can be transcendent with the contract, being able to set the table for what a contract paid out in Bitcoin can look like. And that's what happens. It always has to be one trailblazer, one specific thing that happens that is kind of the beginning, the kickoff point, the crescendo for all contracts to follow in kind.
First of all, guys, Aaron Rodgers looking sleek, looking like John Wick in the all black. I like that, man, coming out there just swagging on us. But what is he's saying true? OBJ and Rodgers have been on record for taking some of their salary in Bitcoin. But these guys are millionaires. They have one outside income from outside of off the field, and they have other different things that are going on. So should someone else, everyday people, should they take some of their salary in Bitcoin? Personally, I think if you do your due diligence and you have a risk tolerance that is interested in different sort of asset allocations, you can certainly look at different ways to diversify your portfolio, right? But what do you think, Zaid? Should people be doing that?
So I was, while he was talking, I was looking up a couple of things. I was looking up Aaron Rodgers' total career earnings. This man has made over $263 million so far, and he just signed another $200 to $150 million contract. All right, look, I'm all for these guys being interested in Bitcoin, but they are worth $250 million, some of them more than $500 million. They have the money to kind of mess around with Bitcoin and take their salary in Bitcoin or a portion of their salary in Bitcoin, because if it doesn't work out, they still got 10 figures in the bank, or like 7 figures in the bank. So I wouldn't, just because Aaron Rodgers is doing this isn't a reason why you should do it. Doesn't mean you shouldn't dabble in it, but practice good risk management and don't just go crazy just because some dude that plays sports is doing it.
This mindset of follow what the rich do does not work for everyday humans. At the end of the day, I'm like so over this in our society. I'm so unimpressed by this panel. Aaron Rodgers, I'll give him a little credit. He was probably one of the more well-spoken ones, but it just was a clear indication that a lot of these celebrity athletes don't know what they're talking about, or for some reason they're not able to truly share what they really think about this subject. Maybe it's sponsorship deals, I have no idea. But there was such a missed opportunity with this panel. For me, it was really like, and look, I love Serena Williams, but when she was asked multiple times to discuss how, her role in this is going to help bring more, with Serena Ventures, right? Bring more women, more people of color, more diversity and inclusion into the crypto space. She had no real answer. She did not share any real action items. She just pushed what I think is a sponsorship. And it was disappointing to see. She has a massive platform, all the resources possible. There is not one person on her freaking team that couldn't have been like, hey, here are a couple lines of action items that people in venture, that anyone could do to be able to help bring more women and people of color and inclusion into the space. So since Serena didn't do it for you, I will. Actions you can take today. This is all thanks to sourcing from Women in VC. It is a website and organization. Please look it up. Get involved. 1, a diversity audit of the managers in your portfolio. Awareness and transparency are great first steps to see who is involved, because if there's a lack of diversity there, that's a problem. Get involved. Check out organizations like Women in VC and other movements that are moving to change the narrative. Write an actual check. Literally, Serena could have said, hey, you know what? I'm going to invest directly into female fund managers. Like, actually, if she would have said something like that, that would have changed the whole game from that massive audience I imagine they had on that stage. I could tell based on like the woos and the clapping. Finally, making connections. Serena is someone with a massive network with high net worth individuals, like any resource on the freaking planet. And she just say that you would be prepared to write a check. You'd be ready to write a check for that female founder, for that VC, for that person of color that has founded something interesting or is trying to invent something new. So like saying that you would invest in these people is what she could have done, but she did not do any of that, and that was just really disappointing.
Yeah, go off.
Go off. Yeah, Nicole, you're so right.
Real quick, Delano, I want to make sure I get my sources right about the Aaron Rodgers salary. I got that from Spot Track. So
nice. Oh, I love that. Yeah, that's a great source. Source. And I agree with both of you. I think one, these are people we go through because of their prowess in their athletic fields for most cases right now, right? Not that they can't do stuff outside of that, but even if we believe in the implication that, so personally, I believe in having diversification in cryptocurrency and digital assets, we may not look to them as our thought leaders and our expertise and advice on these areas. We can look for other sources that, we believe in, and then do our due diligence to continue to invest in assets that we believe in, right? So I think that's kind of the takeaway for me here on that too.
Yeah, and that makes me less heated. It makes me a little bit more calm, because I know that there are actual leaders in the space, especially the ones that are, the CEOs, the ones that are actually operating in the space, and they're having real discussions. But we're about to get into that, because Bitcoin is getting boring, but maybe that is a good thing. At the Bitcoin 2022 conference, it is winding down in Miami, but have the Bitcoin vibes changed from new and exciting to boring as the asset class kind of grows up and discussions around regulation and compliance dominate the conference? So with us is super investment guru from eToro, Callie Cox, live from MIA to give us all of the tea. I'm excited to hear from her standpoint as someone that is there. Callie, how are you?
Actually, I'm live from my hotel room right now. You don't see the ocean behind me, right? Well,
I can feel it almost. I can feel it. I'll imagine the ocean behind you, some palm trees. So have you noticed any differences between how Bitcoin is being talked about right now or looked at now as opposed to the past, and kind of what I said in that tee up there? Or is it still very much, the young Wild West?
Yeah, so it's interesting you mentioned that. And I want to throw out first that Bitcoin is 13 years old. It's basically a teenager now. And we talk a lot about Bitcoin maturing into, different kinds of markets, right? And I think you could really see that at Bitcoin 2022 these days. I am not there, but I've spent some time on the floor, watched a few talks, looked at the agenda. And there's a lot of conversation when it comes to Bitcoin around compliance, around institutionalization, around regulations, the kind of thing that you hear when you go to a TradFi conference. And that's not a bad thing. But look, Bitcoin is growing up. It's become the crypto of the masses. So if you're looking for innovation, Bitcoin may not be the place to look. The conversation may have moved on. That's becoming clear from what we're seeing. But at the same time, I mean, Bitcoin is morphing into a stable investment vehicle, and there's a lot of money going into it, and money is power.
Totally. No, that makes a lot of sense. What I'm curious to know, Callie, is like, what's the vibe like in Miami right now, right? Like, we've been seeing a lot of tweets, a lot of pictures, a lot of videos. I mean, like, is it a bunch of like Lambos pulling up? Is it a bunch of like just dudes partying or pretending to party? Like the champagne
hula hoop
flowing? Like, what's
competitions. Where are those at?
Oh my God. Yeah, some rumors are true, some are false. I will say the champagne is flowing. I might have a headache today. May or may not be from last night. But yeah, I've seen a few Lambos. I've seen a few of those crypto stereotype bros. But there's a lot of energy around the future. And I have my pros and cons with the crypto industry. Like, I try to go into it as level-headed as possible. But I'm just really encouraged by the energy. You know, maybe crazy energy or not, just the passion that people have for this industry and the kind of real change that the technology could affect.
Yeah. Speaking of technology, Callie, like for me, our focus is always like on the future. I know you kind of mentioned that there hasn't been anything sort of like sparked or crazy or anything, but maybe have you heard or seen any announcements in terms of innovation when it comes to Bitcoin?
Yeah, I mean, well, first of all, I can't help but shamelessly plug eToro Art launched yesterday. Not a recommendation. Please invest according to your goals and needs. But you know, it is really surprising. We have seen a few announcements here and there about payment companies tagging, teaming up with other, you know, wallets, other brokerages. So nothing like super huge, which is honestly really surprising from this conference. But I do think the main takeaway from what we're seeing and what we're hearing is the fact that, you know, people are thinking about what Bitcoin's next step is, and maybe it looks like a currency. Maybe it isn't the wild, wild west, but maybe we are, you know, stepping into the place where it could become a widely, you know, accepted currency. And firms are kind of preparing around that. They're like thinking about technology. We're seeing a lot of payment protocols on the floor, a lot around the Lightning Network, for example. So, you know, there is preparation there for Bitcoin to evolve even more. But when you think about innovation, I mean, the hot topic here is Web3 and the power that Web3 holds for community and creators.
That makes sense. You talked a lot about currency, which the prevailing kind of theme has always been the asset, a reserve asset, whether you think of it as a reserve asset or an asset for growth or whatever. But it seems like, you know, talking about Bitcoin as a method of currency now is starting to come more into, you know, the forefront. What have you seen from the convention? Has it been split in the terms of investment versus use of a transaction and for payments, or what have you seen?
Yeah, that's a really good question. You know, honestly, I think there's a lot of optimism out there. You know, a lot of people, and look, basically, Bitcoin can be a currency at the most basic level. You're exchanging it for goods and services. Some people are. So in that way, it is a currency. But I think there's a difference between currency and widely accepted currency. I think there's a lot of optimism about it stepping into being a widely accepted currency. And there's a lot of thought going on in that space right now. Personally, I think that it has a ways to go. You don't see currencies, you don't see at least currencies relative to the dollar, you know, swinging around this much. But I do want to point out too, I mean, there's so much potential for Bitcoin and crypto in emerging markets around the world, emerging economies where the currencies aren't as stable. And Bitcoin innovation too, that's another space to watch. I was walking the floor and I saw a company that's trying to build NFTs on the Bitcoin blockchain. You know, don't forget that, you know, outside of the US, you know, economies don't have as much access to solutions and innovations that we do here in the US. So Bitcoin is, you know, likely more popular there. And, you know, people are thinking of ways to innovate with Bitcoin because they're not quite in step with where we are in the US. So, you know, not widely accepted currency yet. That's just my opinion. A lot of people probably have their own opinions on that. But, you know, at the same time, it looks like we're moving that way and the industry is optimistic.
I think Callie should have been on the main stage there. I think you should have been the
Yeah,
one
that's
interviewing.
awesome.
Could you have sat in
Lobby for
Serena
me.
Williams' place? I'm
Next
just saying, because next year, guys, Bitcoin 2023, listen, because that is the message that we need to be sharing. Like, that is something that has really stuck out with me just from, you know, having slight FOMO from not going to the event. So just like looking at stuff even on like Twitter and stuff is just, yeah, it's just that messaging is getting so lost. And yeah, so I just like appreciate that you brought that up. And the different aspects of that.
Yeah, look, and Bitcoin for the masses too. I mean, Bitcoin is incredibly inclusionary. It doesn't seem like it at first, but you know, crypto, the ways that we've seen it permeate throughout different demographics, it is like rarely inclusionary, and that's a welcoming thing for the finance industry. I can get behind that.
Amazing.
100%.
Amazing. Yes. Well, thank you so much, Callie, for joining us and for sharing your wisdom. As always, I am smarter now because of it. So thanks again, and have an awesome Friday.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thanks,
Enjoy.
Callie.
Get some beach time.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into Now, Next, Never.
All right, guys. Now we have something interesting happening. Jack Mahler, who is a baller and CEO of Strike, he announced some interesting announcement at the Bitcoin 2022 conference in Miami. He announced integrations on the Bitcoin Lightning Network through his company Strike. One was with Shopify. Obviously, we know what Shopify is, an incredible storefront. And now he's also pointing to some other potential integrations with some larger retailers. So it's going back to our point that we were talking about, is Bitcoin becoming more of, the Steam now coming more of a terms of a currency of transaction, as well as obviously an asset. So something to watch, guys. I thought it was pretty interesting.
That is interesting. So many things happening in the crypto space. But I'm going to talk about Walmart, which said that it will, and this is happening next, that it will increase the average starting pay for in-house truck drivers from $87,000 to between $95,000 to $110,000.
Hey,
Six
love it.
figures, y'all. Feel free to open up a new tab and Google how to become a truck driver, because that seems like a viable job opportunity. Not for me personally. That sounds incredibly terrifying, but that's like a wild thing to me. 6 figures to be a truck driver. You never know it.
Just goes to show you that truck drivers are highly in demand, and the salary was going to have to come up at some point. So, yeah, love to
The
see
tough
it.
jobs.
I have a never Cocomelon NFTs. That is an actual thing that's happening, and for all you parents out there, you probably feel the same way about Cocomelon that I do. Despise it. I've had the Cocomelon theme song stuck in my head so many times. Thankfully, my daughter has graduated on from Cocomelon and doesn't watch it as much. But there was a run there where I was like, I think I'm going insane. And now they have NFTs.
Would you prefer like a Baby Shark one or something, or?
No, she had a Baby Shark run too, and I got, oh my god, because this kids just want to watch the same thing over and over and over and over again. And
I know the feeling. I'm still the same way.
so yeah, the NFTs for Cocomelon, not for me. Because my daughter is not gonna know what to do with an NFT. She's like, this is stupid, Dad. And so
Yeah, who
there's
is
no way I'm
gonna
buying
buy
it.
it? Like,
Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea.
You don't know.
Get it as a gift to your child. Here
Yeah,
you
they're
go.
gonna be like, this is stupid. It's like why did you give me a picture? Come on.
I wanted a toy.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh my gosh, so funny, so funny. All right, well that does it for our show today. Thank you so much for tuning in. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Let us know what you think. Hit that notification bell. We'll see you Monday.
We out.
Happy weekend.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching. Make sure you tune in every day. Also hit that like, subscribe, and notification buttons. We'll see you tomorrow.